Today I picked up 32 pounds of second grade tomatoes. I got them for $1 a pound, so that was wonderful. Actually, I ordered 30. They gave me 32 just because, some might have some blemishes on it or whatever. So I thought that was very generous of them. In that big pot, I put on a bunch of water to boil, and what I did was I washed my tomatoes and cored them, and then I scored the bottom with an X and threw them in the boiling water for a couple of minutes, and now they're in a cold bath and I'm taking the skins off. And what I'll do with the skins, once I drain the water off of those, is I'll let them dry as much as possible, and then I would like to put them in my dehydrator and dry them up, and then grind them in my my Ninja or whatever bullet, and make tomato powder out of that. So I've cut up the peppers, celery, and the onions, and all I need yet is, I put the sugar in there and the salt as well. And then all I need is the diced tomatoes, and we're gonna cook those. I don't know exactly how long. I'll have to check the book. It's in the ball canning book. What this is stewed tomatoes. So I'm doubling the recipe, so I'm going to get roughly around 14 or 15 pints. Okay, well, I got the tomatoes in there plus everything else, so this is a double recipe for stewed tomatoes. Now I've got it on medium high, and I'm stirring every couple of minutes so it doesn't burn to the bottom. And we're going to bring it up to a boil, and then we're going to simmer it for about 10-15 minutes. So it's come up to a boil, and now every few minutes I'm giving it a stir, and we're going to just let it gently boil for about 10 minutes. Once we're done that and ready to fill the jars, we're going to put a tablespoon of real lemon juice in the bottom of each 500 ml or pint jar before we put our tomatoes in. Okay, so I had just mentioned each bottle or each pint jar is going to get a tablespoon of real lemon juice. This is what I meant, was bottled lemon juice. So just to clarify. Since we're doing a hot pack, I have my jars washed and rinsed, and now they're soaking in hot water. And my canner has 3 quarts of water in there with a splash of vinegar, and it has been slowly heating up on about a 4. And of course the tomatoes are going to be piping hot. So once we decide to get them into the jars, we'll just take a few jars at a time, and with a slotted spoon we're going to fill those jars, first of all, with a tablespoon of the bottled lemon juice, and then we're going to use a slotted spoon and put the tomato product in there. And once they are filled up to 1-inch headspace, or maybe it's a half, I'll have to check on that. Once it's filled up to where it should be, then we're going to top it off to the same 1-inch or half-inch, whatever it is, with liquid. And then we're going to debubble, wipe the rims, put on the lids, and put the rings on fingertip tight, and then they go into the canner. Okay, we're ready to get going here. So I took out 4 jars, and I put in the tablespoon of bottled lemon juice. I've got my debubbler and my magnetic wand to pull out my jar lids. There's a little bit of vinegar in there and some paper towel to wipe the rim. And my rings are over here on a dollar store paper towel holder. So now what we're going to do, I did look in the book, we're going to put our tomato stuff in here with a slotted spoon, and we're going to do it 1 inch from the top. So we're going to leave a 1-inch headspace. And once all your jars are filled up with your tomato stuff, Then we're going to top it off with the liquid. So I just have to get a ladle for that, and then I'll be back. All right, so I got a ladle, and we're just going to top off the jar so it's at a 1-inch headspace. That looks about good. And we're going to debubble and get all those bubbles out of there, because we don't want our jars cracking when they're under pressure. So we've got to get rid of those bubbles. So once you've debubbled, you just have to make some adjustments maybe. I just need a little bit more liquid, and then she's good to go. And get a clean cloth or paper towel with some vinegar on it and wipe off that rim so it's nice and clean. You don't want any debris on there. See, we got some tomatoes sauce on there. So there, it's nice and clean. Now we're going to get our lid. And I might need to do this off camera because I can't do both. I'll be right back. All right, lid is on. Now it's going to get a ring. And then we're going to do it fingertip tight, a little bit tighter than that. And then into the canner it goes. And we're going to process all these jars, the pint jars, for 15 minutes. Depending on your elevation, you know, you have to figure that out. I'm above sea level, 2,400 feet, so I have to do it at 15 pounds of pressure. If you're under 1,000, then it's 10 pounds of pressure. So yeah, I'll be back once I get the whole canner loaded up. Okay, I'm pretty excited. I landed up with 14 pints. Now we're going to get the lid on and get this canner up to pressure and let it vent. Once it does come up, let it vent for 10 minutes with a really nice steady stream of steam. And once the 10 minutes is up, then we'll put on that jiggler weight here. And once that starts jiggling, we'll come back. All right, this is coming up to pressure. Once this little gadget here pops up, then it'll start pushing out all the air from there. You can see it's starting to spout a nice stream. It's not quite steady yet. There's little breaks in between, but this one just came up, which means now it's going to start pushing that air out, and you'll see a nice steady stream, and it'll start changing sound. I don't know if you can hear that, but not the rumbling, but the hissing. So now it's nice and steady. Goes all the way up to my ceiling. Yeah, maybe just a few more seconds here. And then we're going to set it for 10 minutes. And once that 10 minutes is up, then we're going to come back and we're going to put this weight on. After I finished canning up all those tomatoes, the stewed tomatoes, this is the juice that I had left over. I don't like to waste anything, so what I'm going to do is I might let it cool off and put it in the freezer, or maybe even tomorrow if I have the time. I've got some raw hamburger in the fridge. I wanted to make up some meatballs and stuff, so I might get my meatballs spiced up and make really small ones and put this on the stove and just let the beef simmer in there. And as it simmers, it releases all the juices from the beef. And this makes a really, really nice, hearty and flavored tomato beef soup. So that's just a little tip. Here I've got all the tomato skins from the tomatoes that I peeled for the stewed tomatoes that are in the canner. So what I'm going to do is let them drain nicely on the paper towel, and I'll blot them dry as much as I can as well on the top. And then once they're in fairly dry condition, then I'll put them on the dehydrator, and I'll let you know in another video when I do the dehydrating how long it took. Yeah, tomato powder. That's awesome. Going to come up to the last 25 seconds of our venting time. Once that timer goes off, then we're going to put the 15-pound weight on and wait for that to start jiggling. And then we'll be back again for the next step.